All right. So you said that is a virtual background on this call, huh?
Yeah, virtual background, man.
Looking good. The wall looks bigger than last time you were on, I think.
Yeah, I moved rooms. I redid some stuff in the basement to give the kids space where my old gear room was, and I moved into this one, and it's only partially well, it's done, but I still have like a ton of junk to this side. So luckily the camera doesn't pan that way. I wish that junk was virtual background.
Hey, no
But
problem, man. That's a good looking wall.
yeah, I got three more to pick up the end of this week.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, they're not all mine, man.
Yeah,
Wife, kids,
sure. Sure.
roadkill here and there.
Yeah, I tried to join your club this morning. Ended up passing three little bucks. Nothing,
Nice.
no shooters.
Nice though.
Uh,
Hey man, they'll be there eventually, man. I was getting tired of passing deer too this season. And I had a great hunt the other day, but of course, got a picture this morning of my target.
okay.
So I mean I still have another tag,
Yeah.
but I kinda wanted to save it for late season, but it would be for him, so I might as well go after him.
Get them while you can, right? Get them
Yeah.
while you can. Let's do this. Let's do a little introduction of people who haven't
Yeah.
heard this voice before, which I'm sure most have. You've been on the podcast, I don't know, a bunch of times. But my good friend Cory Franceus, let's tell us about you, man.
Uh Born raised Michigan. And I'm somewhere in my 40s. I've been bow hunting since I don't know, since I could pull a bow back, and deer hunting and messing with habitat, and got my own place about 6 years ago now. Yeah, almost 6 years ago, in Jackson County, Michigan. And that man, where all my real habitat stuff really started, coming to life, planting switchgrass and inch cutting and TSIs and all that fun stuff. Um, but yeah, man, just a whitetail hunter mainly at heart, and have a beautiful family, three kids that I know of, and and three dogs and a cat. And my daughter has a bearded dragon, so a house that I have no control over, overrun by animals and stinky kids. And I have a beautiful wife that somehow puts up with me and all the things that I go and do, and she does it too. One of these bucks, it's got an orange hat on over at the end.
Oh
That was
yeah.
her first deer, a long time ago, and then we're picking up her another big buck of hers that she shot last year during gun. We talked about it on here, I think. Picking that up at the end of this week, and I think another one's hers. This one right behind me, nice 10 point, or actually it was like a 13 point. So, anyways, supported at home to play around and do what I like to go do. I suck at golf, uh, novice fisherman, but other than that, man, it's just deer.
Yeah, well, you seem to work hard at it. I can tell you that much. I've known you for quite a few years now. You were back on episode 40, 205. 205 must have been, yeah, last year when we talked about your success on
Yeah,
the 70 with you and your wife, episode 145. But yeah, so if anybody wants to, you guys did really well last year on your 70, your wife, yourself, your
yeah.
son. What would you say that your habitat is? Where would you say it is in its stage of start at 0 being, brand new farm blank slate,
Yeah.
and then 10 being fully turnkey. All I do is replant my food plots.
Oh, probably like a six, probably, or a seven. Um, it's funny because 5 years ago when I first started this run, I'm like, man, in 3 years this place is going to be awesome, and in 5 years this place is going to be awesome. And then planted a lot of fruit trees and chestnuts, and just those things are starting to drop. I mean, I finally have trail cam pics of a deer getting on their back legs to pick an apple. But man, in the next 5 years, my fruit is going to just come to life. And yeah, I think a lot of that will be sustainable, especially around the attraction piece, for deer, throughout the season, not just in the not just October, but I'll have August, September, October, November, December, January dropping trees. So that part I think I'm really looking forward to. Um, did a lot, did that 18 acre field conversion from corn to, it was a cornfield, cut cornfield when I bought it. That's starting to get broke up pretty well now. Planted a lot of trees. You've helped me plant some of those. You and the kids, we were all out there planting trees one day.
And we planted a few.
Um,
You did
yeah,
most, but we planted a few.
yeah, man. So like those are like above, some of those are above the tubes. Sorry, my camera's going off midday movement. Um,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
I know, and we're sitting here in our living rooms,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
but it
Talking
happens.
over lunch.
Talking over lunch, man. Well, we can't always be out there, right? So yeah, man, the property's coming along. I mean, honestly, thanks. And I've said this before on here, and it's thanks to the content that you put out, man. You've put out a lot of really good content that's inspired me and that put it to work. And I mean, we have a few of these deer on the wall are because of that. So, and the couple at the taxidermist are because of that too. So, uh, I appreciate everything you do on here, man.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. You're inspirational yourself. If you go back and listen to episode 40 for everybody who hasn't, or maybe just started listening to the show or hasn't heard yet, Cory did like 3 years worth of habitat work in like 1 year. So, we were all younger 5 or 6 years ago, but I had more go get it in us maybe. But it's yeah, you've worked really hard, and it's inspiring to watch how hard you work and the shit you get done because of that. So, I mean, do you think the getting to a number 7 out of 10 in terms of status or stage of the habitat in 6 or 7 years, that's impressive. Are you happy with that number? Like, I don't think it
Yeah,
could have been done much quicker than that, if anything. I mean, right? So
yeah,
like, just kind of give people an idea maybe what to expect.
yeah. I had the one thing, taking my soils into consideration, things grow slower for me, um, specifically trees. So I have a hard time getting trees established because it's sand. I was messing around trying to dig a pond. I literally dug through 5 feet of sand,
Hmm.
in the lowest spot I could find, uh, just until I hit where the water table was. And when I say sand, I'm thinking of selling it to Myrtle Beach, man. I mean, it's beautiful beach sand. Um, so I battle that. So there's a lot of things that I've had to adapt to do. No-till food plots. I have a disc. I can't use it, or I shouldn't use it because I don't want to break up that organic matter that I'm building on top. Um, I have a good planning system now, and I really think the soils have been improving. Vitalize, man, I've been rotating that for the last 2 years. I started that when you first got, when you first got involved with it last year. So I got a spring planting and a fall planting in, and did the same again this year. And camera three, I call it camera three. It's in my northeast. It's on fire most of the time. It's a big food plot. It's about an acre and a half, which is on the large size for Michigan, but it is full of deer. Anywhere from there's a deer in it right now. I just got a picture. Um, 8 deer every night, and it's funny because now I can inventory my bucks because of that's where they're going to push does. That it holds a lot of does, but I have 4 plots that are similar, so they're doing that on all plots. That's just the only plot I have a camera on that I think has batteries in it right now.
Yeah, no, that's great points. And you think the sandy soil? I mean, I was there when you were digging that pond, and I think I took a picture or video. Literally, the layers
Yeah,
of sand. Like, is that
yeah.
pond holding water?
Yeah, where it's down at. I mean, I haven't gone any further. I basically took the first 4 foot of topsoil off, on about probably half acre, maybe
Hmm.
a little bit more, 3/4 of an acre. But I mean, I just basically just started filling the backhoe with diesel and just was having fun for a few weeks. But now I need to get an excavator out there to
Ah,
finish it. Really, the backhoe could get it done if I only had that, but really I need an excavator. And I just kind of ran out of juice and steam. And last year, habitat season kind of started back up, and then deer season started back up, and so I just haven't worked on it as much anymore. But it's just a big, huge recessed food plot now. Matter of fact, I broadcasted a bunch of rye in it just to slow the erosion down. So it will be basically a recessed food plot for a while.
awesome. And you need the excavator to just get deep enough. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, to get deep enough and be able to swing around with the backhoe, it's nice, but you can only really dig like here.
Yeah.
So when you're digging, you have to make a pile here. So it will make it hard to then remove all the spoils to make a mound somewhere or do whatever I'm going to
Mhm.
do with it.
Mhm.
Um, it'll make it hard without worrying about caving in, you know. And the last thing I want to do is do that cave in with that type of ground. It caves in pretty quick. So I don't want the edge to cave in, topple over, you know, die.
Yeah, no, that yeah, you topple in there in the backhoe. Exactly. Yeah, I understand. Now you back to the sand again. Do you think that's maybe slowed down some of your food plot growth or your tree growth, maybe your trees in particular to fruit?
Yeah,
Over time. I think it would probably takes longer to
yeah,
produce when their soil is
yeah.
really not there.
Yeah, you know, I think, and that should be an expectation that, you know, for people to have too. And I just was ignorant to it. I didn't know. And I mean, yeah, it has less organic matter. It's not holding as much moisture in the soil, right?
Mm.
And on top of that, there's not as much nutrients available there. So I could be fertilizing, and I should be fertilizing more. And I haven't. I say I'm going to do it every year, at least my trees. You know what I mean? Dropping some like dairy dew or something like that around it, and I just haven't. But I'm going to this year, I promise. But yeah, I think that expectation should be slowed down on how long it takes a tree to grow, how long it takes a tree to fruit. What happens if you have a really dry year? Now, once the roots are established, I haven't lost trees after year one because of weather, and other than them breaking over something, wind breaking something, or something like that. But I haven't lost them to them drying out. But if I plant them in the spring and then we just have this huge dry spell and they're already kind of in shock trying to get out, then I can lose trees that way. But yeah, it definitely slows things down.
Yeah. And I know you've been doing some grafting, and the last year was the year you planted a bunch and we had the big drought, right? Because we had a drought this year too, but I think last year was worse. Or was that this year when you and Jared were
Yeah, we
watering your trees with big pumps and
yeah,
toast and
yeah.
everything else? Was that this
Yeah,
year?
we grafted a bunch,
Okay.
kind of so we could move, plant them on our place, and then if anybody wants any, we could sell a few. But yeah, those trees actually did really well as far as from moisture. We watered them a bunch of times, and then it's just the grafts. That's a hard thing to do, or at least maybe 50% success overall uh, on the trees, but still, we grafted a ton, so we'll probably have like 500 that we can do something with.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I know moving forward, I'm gonna try to buy the oldest trees I can, spend the most money, grafted with the correct root stock, all that, and just try to hedge that learning curve a little bit. Again, though, more of an investment you gotta watch over if it's dry too. But
Yeah,
and normally I'm the opposite. I'll buy 500 and plant and hope half survive or whatever versus
yeah,
plant 10.
yeah,
But I'm gonna go with the older trees this time around and see get that fruit faster. Like you're saying, I have a buck this year on the 15. My buddy who bought the property sent me, and he's got his head up in the apples on his hind legs, 8 point, picking them. So
one
yeah,
that you planted, right?
yeah, yep. My daughters and
Yeah,
I. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And
yeah,
just to get to that point though, like you're getting at, or will be next year. Um, I want to get there as fast as I can. You know,
yeah, yeah,
as is
yeah.
everybody else.
And it's easy to say that you'll go out and water them once or twice a month or whatever it takes, but it's a lot. If you don't have a pump, if you got to bring water out there, they all create challenges. So you have to make things to pump water out of maybe a wet spot you have on your property, and just pour 5 gallons of water on it and just hope that it helps. Or weed mats are very important on there. One stops the competition of things growing up around them, and holds the moisture down. If you're going your front landscaping and you have mulch, you got to reach under the mulch. There's always some moisture underneath there, so that really helps keep some moisture underneath there. So that's something that I do too, is I try to put wood chips on there as much as I can, at least in the first year or so. Now they're just doing their thing. The trees are
Yeah.
just doing their thing. Um, but yeah, the younger trees, it's important to take care of them up front if you want survival.
Yeah, of course. I didn't think we'd be talking so much about trees here in November, but this is super important. And now is actually a great time to plant them and get your fall orders in for spring,
Yeah.
right? Order ahead of
Yeah. Now
time
is when you
because
want to
yeah,
buy them. Yeah. You need to
yeah,
order them now. The first couple of years, man, I didn't order them in time. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to plant trees next month. I should order some. And they're all gone. All the varieties I want, from all the good producers. So yeah, I'd be out there trying to buy trees right now. One thing that I planted, that's actually pretty cool are chestnuts. I planted a bunch of chestnuts, but they're actually, uh, I had chestnuts this year on, 3, maybe 4-year-old trees.
yeah.
So, just a few, but it's the first time I ever had chestnuts. It was really neat. So I have, I don't know, another 300 chestnuts. Hopefully in the next few years we'll start producing. And,
Awesome.
again, I want to create that sustainable stuff. And as much as I love food plots and how that's definitely will always be a part of my habitat plan. Um, so will these trees, you know?
So moving, talking about your habitat plan and kind of shifting gears a little bit, what do you think your top two or three or even one habitat implementation has been that you can look back
TSI.
on? TSI?
T- yeah. Yeah, I turned a park effect woods into, honestly, I didn't walk in it this summer because it was so thick. But I mean, I know the deer are in there. But yeah, man, it's completely transformed that. And so instead of this bedding being way on my neighbors and their swamps and potholes, this bedding moved closer to where my food plots were for at least the does, at minimum the does, which brings the bucks to my food plots so much earlier, or to the areas that I want them to be in so much earlier, uh, because of that TSI. You know, I have another property I hunt that's just big park effect woods,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to hunt it, especially to go in. I couldn't hunt it this afternoon because I think the buck that I want to harvest is in there, and he can see me from literally a couple hundred yards away. Even though there is some terrain, he can still see me. And if I bump one doe fawn or something laying close to, the ag field, I, do the whole domino effect and push him out. So the TSI has been such a big implementation, on the farm, and breaking up lines of sight. And so the other big thing would
Yeah.
be just the grasses I planted to break up sight lines. I think I used switchgrass to break up this big, huge open field. So you can get through it. So I think that was a big part for access, and just overall security for deer. But keeping deer on my property is the TSI. And on top of that, it creates a lot of winter browse for them. And there's not standing corn or beans and all these all the ag fields during the winter, and they need nutrition. And that's where they get their nutrition is from eating the buds off of trees. And if they're higher than 6, 7 feet, they're not getting them, you know?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I want to talk about that here in a little bit, but I want to hear how your season's been going. It's November. You sent me a picture
Mhm.
the other day, but I want to hear about take me back to the beginning of the season, kind of give us a rundown of how your season's been going. I know you've hammered quite the amount of does too, so
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry if you can hear the dogs. So,
not at
can
all.
you hear them? All
I
right,
can
good.
hear I can hear mine chewing on something behind me.
All
But
right. Yeah. That sounds like FedEx or UPS or Amazon's here. Um, so the season has been good. I've done I think a fair amount of hunting, but trying to be strategic. This year, so I have my 70 in Jackson County, and then I have another place that I do help shoot does on for a farmer. It's a big farm and it's in Washtenaw County, Michigan. And we've shot, we're I think at 40 for the year. I think he gets summer tags, so we were out there in the summer, shooting 1-year-old does without fawns. I won't shoot a doe. I just don't like shooting does with fawns. So I was targeting 1-year-old does, so it took a little bit longer, but we shot a bunch in the summer, and then, shot a few, so far during the season. We had a big day on during the early antler list. We shot 15 in one evening, me and a couple
nice.
people. It was crazy. What happened is all the ag fields were sprayed with deer repellent with a soybean field. So what it did is it pushed all the deer on this 80-acre clover field that the guy has. And the reason he has it is to keep the deer off of everything else, off of his ag. he basically plants them a food plot to keep him off of his ag because the deer damage that much. So,
Wow.
anyways, but I had my eyes still on a specific deer, and I've been hunting them. Actually, saw them the first two times I hunted them, um, during early October, and my hunting partner actually had him at 40 yards, thought he was 30, and the deer's still alive. So just got a picture of him today for the first time in a long time. So he's back. He must have taken his little rutcation, and now he's
Yeah.
back to spread his seed hopefully on our ground. But so hunting him, trying to be strategic without pictures of him, just guessing where he's at. I've had some really cool encounters with a few decent bucks, and I've just been on the pass game this year, which has been fun. I actually enjoy passing deer. I don't mind. I don't mind not even shooting one, but the other night, man, I had a really cool hunt, and had I had only seen I think three doe fawns, and then all of a sudden at 5:30 a couple other does and a 2 year old came out, and the 2 year old was kind of harassing the does, and then this other buck, a 4 year old 8 point, stepped out, and he's 200 yards away, and I don't know if he just could tell these does didn't want to have anything to do with him, so I grunted at him as loud as I could because it's 200 yards away, and he heard me. And then he kind of started walking up towards the does, and I hit him with a snort wheeze, and 5 seconds later, he's at the base of my tree.
Jeez.
So yeah, it was cool. It was really neat. So once he started running, I had the binos on him. I'm like, this is a great deer. Um, he's a nice 8 point, and he came running in. So I went into kill mode, and as soon as he offered me a shot, he hit me a quartering two shot at 12, 15 yards, I think. And I was fortunate enough to make a great shot, but it was quartering two. And, my experience of chasing after a deer, that, you could have a one single lung liver situation I've chased them in the past before and not found them
Yeah.
so I left and I didn't sleep all night. And I went back out the next morning and he was right where I saw him stop at 30 yards from my tree. So I just couldn't really see in there. It was really thick, but yeah, he was piled up right where I had last seen him. Maybe 5 steps further. He might have taken 5 steps, which is probably why I couldn't see him laying there dead. When I was climbing down and could see through the brush. But yeah, so it's been a great season. Shot a nice 8 points, probably 130. So
Nice. That's a
yeah,
great
he's
8 point.
great Michigan, deer. I'm pretty sure he's 4 years old. I just actually this morning cleaned the skull off, so I'm gonna do a euro with him. So give him to our buddy Drew to feed his
Oh.
beetles, and Drew will want the teeth, so I'll give Drew the jaw, and Drew will tell me how old he is. He'll probably tell me he's 1.5.
Yeah, man. That's that's exciting. I've been on the pass game too for most of it, and 130-inch 8 point walks in, he's getting stuck. So,
Yeah,
so that shot, you get a pass through on the shot, yeah, because you couldn't find your arrow, right?
yeah. I still couldn't find my arrow. So I don't know where it went. I mean, he was in about 10-inch high clover
Okay.
when I shot him. Fat plugged the hole on the exit,
Mm-hmm.
30 yard, 30 yard trail to the deer, no arrow. So I seriously don't know where it's at. It must have just like hit and like reflected down and it's laying into that clover somewhere. I might find him. I think my kid has a metal detector around here somewhere. So I might take that out there and find it. Heck, they're $30 arrows anymore these days.
Yeah, what's your arrow setup?
It's the VAP, the Victory Archery, VAP TKOs. I think I'm like 520 grains total. I was been shooting a 4 blade. I like little 4 blades. They fly the best for me. Bigger broadheads, I've been having trouble with flight, even though I try to tune I try the whole tune thing. Maybe I'll take my bow to somebody that knows what they're doing, and help me get them tuned. Cause I'd like to shoot like a bigger, like, 2 blade, single bevel. That'd be pretty cool to shoot those two and not have to worry about shot angle. I mean, I shot a few does this year with a rage, and Those are great. I always carry a couple
Yeah.
of those, especially on that my what I call my doe property, because if a doe steps out and that this the night's over, then I'm gonna end the doe.
Do you just grab a different arrow real quick and switch it around, or
Yeah, if I see her coming in, I'll switch it out. Yeah. Oh, I have no problem shooting a buck with a rage either. It's just
yeah,
I won't shoot him in the shoulder. I purposely shot that deer in the shoulder the other day. I must have just missed hard bone because I did get a pass through, but I hit him right in the shoulder. At 15 yards quartering two. If I would have shot any further back, it would have been basically just a gut shot.
yeah? And do you think he died that night, like right after you
Yeah,
shot him? Okay,
I think he
so
was.
he was
Yeah, I think he was
stiff
dead.
and the
Oh
whole
yeah, I
deal.
think he was dead. Yeah, I mean he was. I saw him. I saw him. He ran about maybe 30 yards off the field, and I could see him. He's only, maybe 25, 30 yards from me. And I had my binos on him and I could see his white rack. And it was 5:30. It's starting to now get dusk. I mean, that's just
Sure.
like somebody with a light switch dimmer. It goes fast. Um, yeah, by the time I got down, I bet you was dead. I saw him stumble a couple times in there. Like I was pretty sure, but
Yeah.
it was one of those things that I wasn't pushing him. And everyone's, some people said great decision. My wife's like, go out and get him right now. And I didn't sleep. So by 3 or 4 in the morning, I was convinced, heck, maybe I missed him. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
start second
Yeah.
guessing everything, man.
Oh yeah.
Especially because I couldn't find my arrow. Like I got down and had to walk past where I shot him. And I'm looking, I'm like, where's my arrow? I'm like, oh, he must have kept it. I hit him pretty hard in the shoulder, even though I didn't see the arrow, in him when he's running. Figured maybe it was hanging out of him or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, when you don't have the arrow to give you clues to the story, it's hard, and then you don't see him go down, you don't hear him crash, quartering two. There's a lot of things that, are
Yeah.
missing, right?
Yeah.
In the equation. But yeah, good shot, man. That's awesome. I'm sure the arrow's covered in blood, or
Yeah. Oh
maybe the
yeah.
fat cleaned it off some of it, but like I'm sure it was
Oh yeah. He was smoked. Yeah. When I field dressed him, it was right through the center of one of his lungs and then
awesome.
right through like basically center of the other liver, through the liver, one of the lobes of his liver.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't last probably more than a couple minutes after that. But I mean, I heard a couple sticks break in there, but it wasn't like a loud crash. So it was just him laying down, and he was laying right in the trail. He wasn't bedded. He was just laying right in the trail, um,
So
right
yeah,
where I'd seen him
he
stop.
died right
Probably,
there.
yeah, five steps ahead of where I watched him stop for a minute or two or whatever, however long it was. I don't know.
Nice. And which one would you compare him to on the wall behind you, if you had to?
Um,
Any of
oh,
them?
probably a smaller version of this 8 point here.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Yep.
like a that's like a I think it's like 144-inch 8 point from that I shot in Iowa a while ago. Or I
Yeah.
think in 2019, the year you were out there too.
Yep.
Um, yeah, he's just a little smaller version of that.
Yeah, very nice, man. Congratulations. Sounds like you're off to a good start.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good. I'm happy. It feels good. It was a cool hunt. I can snort ways to do, anytime you call a deer to you, especially he's a mature deer. He's a 4-year-old deer. So um, anytime you do that, I think it's a win. It's not always about inches for me, man. It's about, a specific deer or, having a great hunt.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe he was keeping your other big boy out of there?
No, no,
Okay.
I think I'm fortunate enough to have a decent amount of older age. We have an older age class on that place. Um, but no, I don't think so. I think matter of fact, I think he was there because he was kicked out of the core area that I just got a picture that the buck that I want to harvest, he's in that spot now. He's back in his range.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple older deer out there. The deer I want to kill is 5, 6 years old, and then
Yeah.
there's another deer that's probably 7 or 8 years old out there that he actually has more of an attitude than I thought. I've seen him a few times. Bum geezer. There's nothing on his head. It really there was an overpopulation problem in
Yeah.
this area, so I think that affects the deer. That can affect the deer growth. It can, their antlers, everything. Plus, I think there's a nutrition issue because there's only ag fields, and when there's only ag fields and nothing for them to eat during the winter, all park effect woods, it puts a lot of stress on the herd. which
Yeah.
is why, to answer, to come back to your question, TSI, man, I think that's a really important step to get the nutrition up and keep these deer healthy during the winter so they can start in the spring putting on bone, putting on pounds, just putting on nutrition versus trying to play catch up.
Yep. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, and I've been in some of those woods where you're talking, doing some doe hunting with you, and yeah, there's not much in there for browse. Just some invasive stuff and just
Yeah,
mature timber, right?
right.
So, and a ton of deer. So,
Yeah, a lot of deer.
all right. So you got a tag filled. You still have a tag left, but I think I know who you're going after with that tag.
Yep.
What's gun season looking like for you and the family? Let's hear. I mean, that's coming up next week. Let's talk
Yeah.
some strategy and maybe what you're gonna do and maybe what other folks could do. I mean, the ruts. I think it's still on right now. So
Yeah, man. I think cameras are on fire still.
yeah,
You know, so the first few days of gun. I mean, everything's pressure dependent, right? How much depending on how much hunting pressure these deer see, because it just pushes them to do their rut stuff at night, or pushes them off your property that you can hunt to somebody else's property. Um,
very true.
so I'm going to still be hunting where bucks are going to be seeking for does. So kind of still hunting my bow hunting strategy. Um, I think bucks are going to be doing one or two. They're going to be doing one or two things. One, they're still just going to be doing the rut thing, looking for the available does. And I think they're also going to start as you get into gun season. You're going to see deer getting back on to a feeding pattern where they're just trying to get those calories back that they've lost over the last 30 days chasing does. So I'm going to be right away. I'm going to again. I'll hunt the does like I'm bow hunting, or hunt the buck travel corridors, um, like I'm hunting now. And as we get into gun season and weather dependent, I'm going to be start transitioning more back to food. But
Gotcha.
like my brassicas, I think those are going to be a good draw. Food I planted, cut corn fields, cut soybean fields. Um, depending on how cold it gets, my clover might still be pretty viable for a while that I have on one of my farms, and my alfalfa and clover at my home farm. It should still be an attractant. I still have deer out there eating every day in those things. Rye that I've planted, all the greens, the later season greens, your rapes, your kales, brassicas. They're all going to be, I think, a pretty good attractant. So I'm going to be hunting those. Always playing the wind right, always playing my access right. By this time of the year, these deer are starting to get educated to where they're not going to tolerate what they could tolerate in early October. So I'm going to be really strategic about my wind. And heck, I actually the other day I had a fawn like catch my wind, and I shouldn't have had it catch my wind, but it did. It got me. It didn't. It would have been dead, but it. But I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, if my 5-year-old buck comes in here that I want to shoot, I have no chance in this setup. Didn't take account into my thermals that this fawn would get me. But if a 6-month-old deer pegged me, that's tells me if a 5-year-old wouldn't even give me a time of day. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be real thoughtful. Always be thoughtful on that too. Is going to be part of my strategy. As far as a family, I don't know what everyone's going to do. My wife's been out a few times. We have a couple really nice 8 points on our farm, with her name on it. I went out to try to shoot one of them. Oh, maybe last week or the week
Yeah.
before. And
Yeah, we talked. It was about a little over a week ago.
yeah. There's a couple nice 125-inch, 130-inch 8 points. They're beautiful deer. And you and I were talking about it. If I'd shoot it, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to shoot this one, but I'm not going to shoot another 100 at this other place. I won't shoot one, and then I did. But you know, um,
I wasn't gonna say anything, but
yeah, dude, no, it's fun. It's all good. We just get in the moment. But I'm happy about it. I won't shoot a deer that I regret shooting. I'm not. I don't have to kill one. Um, but there's a cool story behind it. It was a cool hunt. I've had a great season so far, and yeah, I shot a really nice buck. Had a full shot on him and executed the shot and had a sleepless night that goes with it. And I'm always going to remember those things, man.
yeah,
Um, so this whole waiting for this Mr. Big or Mr. Big only because I'm the big bad buck hunter, that that was actually starting to weigh on me this year, man. Like
I
it
believe it.
really was. It was at the point where I'm like, is it worth it? I wish someone would kill him. I wish that deer was gone so I can just enjoy hunting, because I made it so much about a single deer that actually took away it took away some of the joy. And so that night that I went, I've hunted my farm once. I sat my 70 acres once, and I have hours and days and weeks into labor per year into that place. And I'm sitting there missing it because I'm after this one buck. Um, so I went and hunted my farm, had a great hunt, man. And I almost shot one of those target deer because of the work that I put in, because of that habitat work, the travel corridors, the food plots, the mock scrapes, all those things that he came out to it.
No, I've never. Yeah, I agree with you, but I've never just chased one buck. The 15 acres, man, there was a bunch of deer that would move through there, and there was the year to year they were always different.
Really?
Either they'd all get shot or
Yeah.
whatever. I really don't have, and I had trail cameras everywhere. I really don't have the picture where I go, oh yeah, this was him last year, and now he's here this year. That property
Yeah.
was just such a travel corridor type property that I've never really been able to chase just one single deer. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've never done it, so I can't weigh on it. But I can agree with what you're saying and imagine that if I was, I'd be probably commiserate with you the same feelings you're having now or were having before you shot that buck. Because you passed a couple good deer out there and chasing that one. Some guys swear by doing it, but time and everything else, and gotta get it done
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the deer was a 145-inch 10 point, and my buddy ended up shooting it. He couldn't resist, but I passed him. But I had the big one at 150 yards. Now I'm not going to shoot. I'm just, that's the deer I wanted to shoot.
Yeah.
So, and it was early in the season, and this beautiful 10 point walks by me, and I'm just like, not picking up my bow, man. And I looked at him. I'm like, I would kill that deer every day of the week. He's 4.5, if not 5.5. Just a beautiful, heavy, dark, great tines, just a beautiful deer. And I don't regret it. I don't regret a second of it. Um, but one of the things that you're talking about pictures year after year, and I don't know if I wasn't sharp enough in the past to look at those pictures when I had a place over by in Branch County, Michigan, because we had 120 acres, and I know I had deer year after year, but I never really put it together. But one of the things that I've noticed is because of the food plots, because of the TSI, because of the habitat work, and because of the smart being smart on pressure, and this goes into my strategy for gun season too, is I'm going to be thoughtful on my pressure, because what I've found is that the deer that show up at my farm in December, I'm hunting them in October.
The
They'll
next
stay.
year,
Like it could
really.
be a new buck. Yeah, I'm like, hey, I have an 8 point right now. He showed up last year, probably around late mid December, and he's on my farm now. And I never saw him before then that I ever knew of. But he was a 3-year-old last year. This year he's a 4-year-old 8 point, and he's a really nice deer. So I think going into the next month and a half of deer hunting, I'm going to be thoughtful on that pressure. I'm not going to try to overhunt these deer. I'm only going to hunt the evenings, especially once December rolls around. I'll probably only hunt evenings, and be thoughtful about it so I can attract those deer to hunt them next year. So we've noticed that. So having the good winter food, having Nebraskas, having the vitalized mix is heavy in Nebraskas. Um, I think that's going to help recruit deer for next year. Even if there's not a 2-year-old on my farm, that's going to be a 3-year-old or whatever age class that's not there today. They'll come because I'm going to have low pressure, and I'm going to have abundant food, abundant cover, and then they'll stay. So I think, well, and dude, if you want, I'd love to talk about maybe getting a blank slate of 40 acres and the ability to be able to do that. If you think about park effect woods today, and what you could turn that into with just having some food and cover, and smart on the pressure, and less pressure than your neighbors do.
Right.
I think you could turn that into a property where you have pictures year after year of get them at 2 years old, 3 years old, and 4 or whatever year you want to try to harvest them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're right. We'll get to that in just a second. You mentioned something there. I was going to ask you about. Son of a gun. Oh yeah, like what we always talk about with the land plans and building a property. Build it, they will come. That's very cliche. All that we always say, be the outlier in the area.
Yep.
Be the reason that all your neighbors are wondering where their deer went, right? So you've done that. And that's probably why when you were talking about the deer that come in December or whenever and hang out, oh, look at this. Look at all this nice stuff. That's why I
Yep.
think that happens for you. And low pressure, smart hunting pressure, stuff we always talk about, but it's cool to see you turn that 70 into what it is now. A lot of hard work, folks. Don't let him humble his way out of this. He has busted his butt out there, but he's here in what year did you buy that property? 17?
18.
18. Because I bought mine 17. You bought it the year. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The 15. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, 5 years, buddy. Five, and you're at that mark. So it can be done. It's a lot of work, as you know. And then to the flip side of that, haven't mentioned it yet, but closed on a new 40-acre parcel yesterday. I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I'm very excited about it. And it's gonna be that blank slate. It is. You've seen it with me. You walked out there with me one day.
Yeah.
And what are your initial thoughts on that? We'll dive into this whole new 40 on another podcast in terms of really breaking it down and blah blah blah. Just so the listeners have a full grasp on what the property is. But you like to play devil's advocate, which is what I do as well. Just to make sure your brain's working correctly, my brain's working correctly on all the things. So what were your thoughts when we walked it a while back?
Well, so first off, on devil's advocate, I guess I was just thinking, I don't
And it's not in a
have,
bad way, but like
yeah, but
seeing
I,
everything
I
from
think
different angles.
you're always gonna have neighbors. You're
Yep.
always gonna have other people hunting around you, no matter how much land you have. Your deer are gonna come and go. Um, and you need to create a place that they feel the safest, right? What
Yep.
I love about it, man, I love how it's insulated from the road. It's off the road. You have an access,
Yep.
right? Um, I love that you already have a ton of timber. I took a big field and then tried to make deer want to be there outside of just having like a cornfield in it, right? And them eating cut corn, or cut crops. So you have
And
all this
that's hard
timber.
to do. That's hard to do. It's time, it's money. You got years to grow that up.
Yeah,
They're both hard to do, but that one's hard to do.
yeah. Yours is solid timber,
Yep.
um, different year, ages of timber, different successional ages, right? You have some early growth, some, which are a little higher stem count, and then you have some, lower stem count, more mature trees. And it's relatively flat ground, but you
Mm-hmm.
have some subtle terrain changes that I think and will help you because the whole area is relatively flat, right? So it's not like you have the flat piece in hill country. You have flat ground and flat country. And but these subtle terrain changes, and I think the way that they move through the property and everything that you know how to do with manipulating habitat to manipulate their travel corridors, I think you're going to be able to build a property that's going to hold deer. Um, it's going to allow you to get out to hunt them, right? Because
Yeah.
it's one thing to have a property you can hold deer, but can you get out to hunt them without blowing your property out? And I think you're going to be able to, put more food both through food plots, but also through, I think you're going to do some TSI. I'm assuming part of your plan is maybe fire up a couple chainsaws. Um, I think that property could be pretty awesome, man. I mean, I told you that when we walked it. I loved it. I love that it's just a block of timber. My favorite place to hunt on this doe farm is a block of timber, and actually, it's 40 acres. And if I could own just that 40 acres, I mean, a chainsaw and loggers would be in and out in that place. That's some big mature timber. But if I could own just that, I mean, that holds most of the deer that I talk about that we hunt on this 400 acres. That's where most of the deer are, is in this 40-acre piece of timber. um, so I think you're going to be able to do that.
Is that 40 acres in like the middle of the section too on your farm
Yeah,
where you're
there's a
hunting?
lot of there's surrounding timber around it too.
Is
Yeah,
there?
for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
surrounding timber on it, and then some ag, obviously too. Your proximity to ag, is it's a little further,
it
but
is.
I think that could be good. I think that could be a good thing, especially if you get into your place to hunt it in the morning, right?
Right.
If you have deer returning from ag, um, then you'll be able to get in there in the morning and maybe be able. It might help you in the evening too, because what I've noticed on my farm on my smaller plots, I'll be sitting till dark and I'll have deer under me and I'm just at about the point to call someone to come pick me up in a truck or a four-wheeler so I can get out of there. And next thing you know, they're gone. They're going to ag, right? So hopefully your deer will be up on their feet at if it gets dark at let's say 7:30 or whatever time. They'll be on their feet at 4, milling around your place, going to your plots, and then they're on their way to ag so they can hit ag at dark. So I think you're
That's a
I
good
think you're
point.
gonna have you could take advantage of deer movement because of that. This is just obviously hypothetically speaking, but man, I really like the property that you bought, man. I mean,
Yeah,
you've seen it more than me. Tell me about it.
yeah. What's nice about starting having another project to work on, right? The Northern 70 is way up north. That's underway.
Yeah,
I was waiting forever to get that done, and we'll do another update on that coming up soon too for the listeners. Um, but that's underway. So,
yeah,
and it's hunting season. So now this down here, a lot closer to home than the last farm, which is nice. That's an advantage. Um, yeah, off the beaten path, off the road. Mature timber needs cutting. The previous owner, who's a podcast listener, uh, appreciate you. You know who you are. Um, I think he got some bids from some guys, but he said they were trying to lowball him, I think, and maybe try to take advantage. So he never went through with it. That's important when you're finding a logger to find somebody you trust, which can be hard to do.
hmm
So my first thought is okay. It's full of mature white oak, and then a lot of soft maple. Those are the main two deals. So I don't know what that'll fetch for value or not, but I do know that canopy needs to get opened up because it's fairly
yeah.
park effect. Um, every
And
property is gonna have.
even if it doesn't bring a lot of timber value, it's still better to have a professional guy on a chainsaw going in and knocking some of these trees down because we work for a living and I mean we can do habitat work, but still, let somebody go in there, haul them out and get something out of it versus letting them just rot on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a wash, who knows, based on the types of trees that are in there. But at least you have someone in there, helping you get some of that work done versus having to pay me in bourbon, right?
Exactly. Plus, if you and I did it, I'd probably drop a tree on my head at some point with that many trees.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it can
you
be
know,
dangerous. So as
yeah.
much as a TSI is a great a great tool for habitat, man, you still got to be careful.
Yep. Yep. So, and
All
that's
right,
kind of
sorry. So
no,
sorry for the
you're
sidebar.
no great sidebar. That's on my mind right now is timber and TSI big time because that's the first step. Um, that's the first step on this place. And I'm not, and my last 15 was cut about a year or two before I bought it. So I was having a hard time getting people to come in there and cut again to
Yeah,
get to my liking. And I took me 3 years to get that cut. This will
yeah, I
not take
remember.
me 3 years to get that cut. I, it will not, I will not wait for that. It will, um, I'll figure out a way to make that happen, to get this regeneration going quicker, to get to the end goal quicker. The whole thing. So the previous owner showed me some deer that are moving through there. Looks like a bunch of healthy deer in there. Good
Yeah,
good population. So yeah, we have a blank slate. The one side is fairly wet. So I'm gonna try to work with maybe that guy that we talked about before, the same guy that's been on my buddy Brian's farm with
yeah,
USDA and see if there's any opportunities to do something there.
yeah,
So right now there's a lot of brainstorming, man. I'm excited. My brain is going 19 or 20 different ways. And now that it's finally closed, it's finally mine. I can relax on that part, and now it's fun stuff. Now it's fun stuff. So, you know, hopefully the neighbors are all cool. I haven't really talked to them a bunch. You never know. There's going to be a risk. Not every property is perfect. There's going to be a hole in the bucket somewhere, I'm sure, and I'm going to figure that out. So, you know, yeah, I'm pumped. He was saying, and so it's mid-November, right? I closed on it yesterday, the 8th of November.
Yeah.
So a lot of good bow hunting's already done. I shouldn't say. I mean, the main part's done, but there's still the rest of the year. He was saying that early December gets decent because of a second cycle of does.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering, have you seen that when you hunt either at the Jackson farm, at the other farm? Because I'm gonna be ready after Thanksgiving to get in there with a muzzle loader or whatever and fill a buck tag. So what are your thoughts
Oh,
on December or timing after gun season, even like after the 2 weeks?
yeah. What you're talking about, like a second cycle, like a late rut?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
like a 30-day cycle, like a 30-day
yeah,
pass
yeah.
cycle.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think, and it's during the Michigan muzzleloader season. I think that can be great hunting. You have, you're getting on food depending on the weather. You have all these does going right, just eating their stomachs, and I think that could be a great place to hunt is food sources. And yeah, absolutely. You have bucks chasing does. You got bucks chasing fawns. Actually, one of the bigger, probably the biggest buck I've shot. I shot in Iowa chasing a doe fawn, uh, December 5th, 7th, 9th, somewhere in there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, man. I think it's a very real thing. And what I was gonna, just throwing a suggestion. Go find a few little maple trees and cut them down tomorrow, and lay these maples down. They probably lost their leaves on them already, obviously, but
Yeah.
those that'll be great nutrition for the deer, you know, uh, to get them through the winter, and it also will attract a lot of deer because there's browse on the ground. So, anyways, those are some tactics that you could use now. Even is hinge over a bunch of maples, soft maples,
Yes.
nothing with timber
Yes.
value, and create a late season food source.
Did
It's
we
not
talk
baiting,
about that? I don't think we've talked about that.
I don't know, maybe.
I
I've done it in like mid to late October, right before they've lost their leaves,
That's a great
and
idea.
they'll eat them like candy.
Yeah.
They eat those maple leaves like candy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm gonna do that. I don't, because it's fairly open, like we talked about. There's no food plots in there, and the ag they cut the corn, which is already far away.
Hmm.
What's to really keep them in there besides low pressure? So yeah, go and take down, 20 maples pretty quickly. I can do that
Yeah,
pretty quickly.
yeah.
Um, even without the leaves, you think we'll be good just nipping on the buds and the tops,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
especially when it starts to get colder, right?
Oh yeah. They'll definitely eat those, but they'll eat those buds now. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were to drop those, I mean, the buds are still kind of, they're growing. I think they're all still kind of popping right now. But yeah, absolutely. You're creating new woody browse for them. It's great nutrition for the deer,
Yeah.
and that it kind of goes into the plan of what can you do right away to attract deer to your property before you can go in and implement a habitat plan, which isn't going to take a day. It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
But these like little easy things that you can do, um, is dropping some trees and creating some woody browse for these animals.
I love it. I'm definitely going to do that. And I think that, and even if the loggers come in the wintertime, whatever, run them over,
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah,
stump sprout.
you're gonna be
Yeah.
getting like, small, you're not gonna go cut down some big old giant maple. Just go cut down, 8-inch trees.
Yeah. The
Just cut,
regular hinge cut trees, add some cover, add some immediate food. Boom.
yeah, add some screening, and hinge them too. You can try to hinge them if you want, because then it
Yeah.
adds the screening through the open timber, you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
they're just laying sideways versus falling on the ground. And if you
Yep.
don't want them there later because it's not part of your plan, do it where you're going to probably maybe put a food plot in anyways. I think if there's a blind on the property or a place that you think you're going to be hunting from, do it 50 yards, 60 yards, 100 yards, whatever from there, right?
Upwind to there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
improving the habitat, you're creating food for the deer.
I love it. I think, and that's, I mean, again, that's something that everybody can do right now. Like I posted on that um, Michigan deer camp Facebook group. They show everybody shows their camps up north. It's pretty fun. I
Yeah,
posted something about logging in there, and some guys were complaining and moaning about it, and other guys are like, hunt the logging. Like, don't wait 3 to 5 years to hunt it. Hunt it like now.
yeah,
Chainsaws and those tops in November. They're like, who cares about all the equipment when they go home for the day? Get in there.
yeah,
So that's exactly to your point, right? It's the same thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember I used to go up to northern Michigan, and the guys would tell me when they were doing logging in the winter. The one guy had like a big buck on the wall that he shot. He's like, I shot this when we were out cutting trees because they were logging, and these deer would just come in and just eating the tops while they were there because it's northern Michigan. There's 3 foot of snow during their late gun season, maybe that year. I don't know. And then when I'm out doing habitat work at my place, January, February, even March, and I'm out there with a chainsaw and there's snow on the ground. I remember one time I went and I ran out of gas, had to run back to my barn and get more gas for the saw. And I came back out and there's 3 deer eating a tree, eating the tops of a tree I just cut down. I rolled right up to it with my tractor. When I got out, they scurried off, right? But yeah, these deer, if they have ever been around it before, they know that when a tree falls, that's food for them, and it becomes competitive because there's only so many still, depending on the size of the tree you cut down, so much they can get to. I mean, look at hinge cuts or edge feathering that you've done. If you
Yeah,
do edge feathering in the winter, and you come back 2 weeks later and there's snow, you'll see
track.
tracks getting all in there, and you're like, and you were trying to create, and you might have tried to been doing it to keep deer not from going through there.
I was.
And they show you how easy it is for them to get through that stuff, right? And they're going to do it so they can get their food. So yeah, that's some of the best browse out there for them. So yeah,
Oh
that would be a
man.
suggestion. That would be something you could go do. Go get in a fight with a few little maple trees. Nothing that's going to be a money tree or
Yeah.
nothing that's going to completely change the landscape of your property, but make a little pile of trees for them, man.
And that will scratch the habitat itch that I've had for a little while now. Not, I haven't done much saw work lately. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
The neighbors are gonna be all pissed off. Who's this new guy cutting trees in the middle of deer season? Huh?
Bring a silk, bring
If you
like a
know,
little
you know.
silky. You could do a little one. You could just bring a little silky or just bring a small
That's
chainsaw.
yeah, I'm just
I
bringing
don't think they're gonna matter. I don't think anybody's gonna be mad that you're pushing deer out of like a center out to their property. You know
true.
what I mean?
That's
And
true.
you do it once. You push the deer one time. Don't go out there every single day for a week to
Right.
knock down trees. Go out
Right.
there, spend 2 hours, do a little bit of work,
Yep.
and then leave.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
Heck, you could do it now before gun season.
I should. Yeah. Yeah.
I know you got a lot to do, and you're gonna be out soon. But yeah,
Well,
but
yeah, but here, take the kids out there this weekend and get it done, right? I mean, my wife's going away for the weekend. And it's kind of hard to bow hunt for mature deer with 3 kids, so um, maybe that's what I do.
yeah, yeah, and I guess what's the impact that could have if you have more food, you attract deer that maybe save their life from a neighbor,
Yeah,
right? Think about ways to keep a deer onto
yeah,
your
before gun
property.
season, right? So
Yeah,
you're blowing them out before the guns fire,
yeah. Even if
then they
there's not
come
a deer
back
that
in,
you want to harvest on
right?
that property this year, well, the goal is to grow the age class. To
Correct.
grow the age class, you got to save some lives. So how do you keep a deer off of somebody else's property that shoots whatever, right? Or a
Hmm.
nice 2-year-old 8 point. It may not be what you want to shoot, or might be, but get a nice 2-year-old 8 point, either chasing does that are eating the trees you just cut down, or him in there eating the trees you just cut down, versus going and eating out, somebody else's whatever it is.
Couldn't agree more. I think that's a dynamite idea and a good strategy. And I mean, anybody who's going up to camp this weekend, I'm going to launch this episode tomorrow. So anybody who goes up
Yeah,
to camp this weekend, I mean, you got to cut firewood, you know,
yeah.
get ready for
Yeah,
opening day.
there's not, it's not baiting. It's not
Yep.
any of that. It's not. It's totally legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
you can do your habitat work now. Or you can go cut firewood now, right?
Yep.
But yeah,
Awesome. Well, I wish you would come join us at deer camp. I know you got the family and the farm and everything else to tend to down here, and I understand that.
yeah,
That's priority.
yeah.
But I wish you luck, my friend.
Thanks, man. Good luck going. You're gonna be up north for yours.
Yep, we're having the whole ice camp crew up there, so I think
Oh, are you?
only one we'll be missing, I think, is you and Matt Zoll. He's going over. He has his own camp in Alpena. Um,
Where's
I think
everybody hunting at?
state land, all state. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
because the
don't have any
waters.
interest in like just hunting, but yeah, it'd be fun to come up and hang out with everybody, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I always like hunting. Don't get me wrong. I want to hunt, but I'm going to be picky with this last stag of mine.
yeah,
I'd rather eat it than shoot something else, or at least that's what I say today. But
yeah.
man, dude, good luck up north. It's going to be fun. You're going to be on your place, though, right?
Yep.
And it's freshly logged, so look at that. Test that theory if you've got some tops. Find the tops, hunt the tops.
I know. I'm gonna see what the logger schedule is because they've been going day after day up there. They're up there right now. And they have till January 1st to finish up. And they look like they're making progress. They said they're making progress. I haven't been out, so I'll know more if it's feasible to hunt a little bit or what. But hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. And I wish you luck. And
All right.
yeah, go chase that big boy for sure.
Yeah, I'll probably be back after tomorrow morning.
Heck yeah. Good luck, brother. Thanks for coming
All
on.
right.
Anything else you wanna touch before we move?
No, man, I'm good. Good luck to you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with the new 40.
No, I'm gonna
I'm,
have you out to
yeah,
yeah. You'll be
yeah,
out
I'd
there
love to.
soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll be out. I'll come give you a hand with whatever you need, man. We'll have some fun out there.
Looking forward to it, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
All right, see you, dude. Thanks, Jared.